Greetings to the free world known to man. Back at you one more again. I want to talk to you good people about the whole good cop, bad cop thing. One night, we're leaving this club called Whiskey River. And we shut it down, so it's a good 2:15, 2:20, 2:25-ish a.m. And upon exiting, we noticed that there's a Latin man with some baggy shorts on, you know, closer to his ankles and his kneecaps, a baggy shirt that's oversized, could have fit another person inside of him, in handcuffs, police custody, rah-rah. Well, a squad car pulls up, and the officer hands him over to the transport officer, and just in our mind, we file he's about to go to jail. Because, you know, there was a possibility that, you know, he could have been let off the hook, but when the transport car comes up, he's gone. Anywho. So, you know, the other cop goes back to the circle of officers. There's about 5 or 6 of them standing around, you know, just chopping it up, waiting to, you know, see if anybody else acts up. You know, protect and serve, right? So, he gets back to the circle, and the transport officer is like, "What are you talking about?" We hear him say. And the gentleman in cuffs goes on and says, "What do you mean my money's gone? I had a couple $100 in my pocket. That other cop must have took it." And they have a little exchange back and forth, and finally the transport officer calls the arresting officer back over. And when he yells his name, the police officers in that circle that were having the discussion, the other 2 police officers at the front door, and then another 2 police officers off to the side, as well as every single human being on site, heard it. And so their attention was directed to it. Now, the arresting officer comes over and he's like, "What seems to be the problem?" Transport officer tells him, "This gentleman said he had a couple of $100 on him when you frisked him, and now it's gone." He's like, "Whoa, you mean to tell me you're trying to say I took your money?" He says to the Latino man, and the man replies, "Yeah, I had a couple $100 in my pocket." Now at this moment, the arresting officer reaches down and grabs in the man's handcuffs and twists them. Now, we're not really sure if it hurt him per se, because we didn't get to ask him before he went to jail if it hurt. But the noise that he made, that everyone heard, and the look on his face, it seemed painful. And then, you know, our own personal experience, that hurts. When the officer twists the handcuffs that you have already engaged on you, that have you subdued behind your back, and he twists, trust us, it hurts. Well, then the officer says, "Are you sure I took your money?" And the man's screaming now. No. He's like, "Are you positive? Because if you need to file a complaint, that's okay, I understand." He's like, "No, you don't have my money. No, you don't have my money." And this went on for a few moments. And then finally the officer relinquished his grip and goes back to his circle of fellow boys in blue. And mind you, a lot of these officers are laughing. Even one of those gentlemen gave him a high five. Now, I mean, you know, of course, we wanted to intervene, but see, the way it's all set up is we're a black man leaving a nightclub at 2-something in the morning, which means we were more than likely drinking in the state of Texas. We're not sure about everywhere else, but in the state of Texas, that's a public intoxication charge waiting to happen. Because see, an officer's discretion is the determining factor for public intoxication. Not a field sobriety test, not a breathalyzer or a blood test, none of that. If a cop says you're drunk, period. You can't fight it. Oh, you can if you have a lawyer and you want to spend the time, and most lawyers will tell you to eat it. Like, really, they'll tell you don't waste your money on it. But anyhow, so when you start talking about, you know, it's only, you know, just, you know, 1 or 2% of the police officers. We just sat there and told you a story about 12 cops. Watch one cop do something and none of them stood up. No, not even a regular citizen like you people. Huh, check yourself.